They forgot that I could sacrifice my bishop. And that's exactly what I did. I used this opening to get all the way up to 1800, and Nathan got all the way up to 1600. The opening is called the Vienna. What is the Vienna? The Vienna is e4, e5, knight c3. e4, e5, knight c3, this is the Vienna. There are so many lines, and I'm going to show you all of the main lines and how you can have completely winning positions in the opening. So, in this position, one of the main moves is actually knight f6, because your opponent sees that you didn't play knight f3, so they play knight f. So they usually play knight c6, but because you played knight c3, they play knight f6. But here, you can play the off-brand move, f4. f4 is a completely off-brand move, and I actually want to show you this from the other side. If you're playing black and you see f4, this is a really weird move to make. And your opponent won't know what to do. You will have studied the lines, but your opponent will not have. And even if they did study the lines, the positions that you get regardless are so strong, you will still win. Now, let's go back to this side. So I'm going to go over the taking line. The taking line starts with E takes f4, and now you push. This is a main move in the Vienna Gambit. Now, your opponent has a couple options. One, they can jump forward. Not there. They can jump forward here, 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 or here, and lose their knight, because you have this piece and this piece guarding those squares. They could go back, right? But no one wants to do that. So one thing that they do is they pin your pawn. They try to pin your pawn to the king. And here, I want you to immediately unpin the pawn. In this position, the knight has to go back no matter what. The knight must go back home. Once the knight goes back home, I want you to play knight f3. This is a very strong move in the Vienna. Playing knight f3 after you play the f-pawn, because you don't want the knight to be on f3 and have the f-pawn still be here, because you don't want it to be there. Because if you castle kingside, you want your rook to be on the f-file immediately. This is one of the key ideas in the Vienna. So here they can blunder. This is a main move, still up to 1800. I see this move all the time. They play d6. d6 is a losing move because you have the knight jump to d5 immediately. This wins the game. Right now it is 4.1 plus 4.1 on the eval bar. Obviously, if you were lower level, what they'll do is they'll go here and they will blunder a fork and you win the queen. But obviously, I would hope that your opponents are not, that dumb and that they play better moves, which is, well, the thing is, if they play d6, this is already a losing move. So this is actually a common move that I see. They play queen d7. Queen d7 once again loses because you have e takes d6 check. E takes d6 check. They don't want to put a piece on the square because the pawn will just take. They don't want to lose their piece. So what they do is they play king d8, and they think that they're safe. They think that, oh, okay, my king's on d8. I haven't lost a piece. They stopped one threat, but they missed your other threat because you now have this check. And the only way that the king cannot be captured is if the queen takes. And guess what? You're up a queen in the opening. You have a queen. You have to win in this position. And one funny thing that you can do in this position is after the king takes, you could even bring the queen all the way down and put all his pieces in Zugzwang. What is Zugzwang? Zugzwang is a German word for stuck. I don't know. I don't know what the word means, but I know what Zugzwang means. So let's say these bishops weren't here. If these bishops weren't here, his rooks and his knights would be in Zugzwang, which is if he moves the knight, he loses the rook. And if he moves the rook, he loses the knight. This is Zugzwang in chess, and your queen is just very strong. You're up a queen. You're up a queen in the opening. You will win this game. You're up a queen. But let's say your opponent is in this position and they don't play d6. What if they play knight c6? I want you to immediately play d4. In this position, you play d4. One, you're looking at this pawn here, and also you're just solidifying your pawn. All right, these are the strong things that you can do in this opening. And I'm going to be honest, even in this position, they still play d6. They play d6 almost like every time I'm in this position, they play d6 85% of the time. They always play d6. They think it's a good move. They're biting at your pawn chain. You immediately have the knight jump. The knight jump immediately is just deadly. And it's the exact same threat. The queen goes here. You take with check here. Boom. Queen is gone. The queen is gone. Now, that is just one of the lines that you have in the Vienna. Let's say in this position, when they take and you push, they just go back. If they go back, you play knight f3. If they attack your pawn chain, I want you to immediately play d4. d4 is your move. If they take, I don't want you to take back with the pawn or with the knight, because if you take with the knight, you're allowing the queen in, and if you take with the pawn, you're allowing a queen trade. You don't want a queen trade in the Vienna. You want to attack. This is what the Vienna is all about. It's all about attacking. So I want you to play this move. I want you to play queen e2. You're pinning the pawn, and you're also threatening to take this pawn with the bishop. That's one thing you're also threatening to do. In this position, they have a bunch of moves. This is the most common move, best move. But here in this position, you can take the queen. You can take with the queen with check. They can block. Now you can take that. The thing is, if they do take here, it is completely okay, because when they take, you can take with the bishop. You're attacking this pawn. Usually what they do is they take here. You just take back. It does not matter. Your double pawns don't matter. Look at the difference in development in this position. You are so much more developed. The position is plus 1.7 for white. What you're going to do, you're going to play here. Well, obviously, I would assume that they're going to either play this or this. If they play the pawn, you just drop back maybe here. Or you can even take a free pawn. That's a free pawn right there. But if this pawn wasn't here and you get attacked, then you can just drop back, and then you can bring the bishop out and you can castle. This is the Vienna. You are completely winning position, plus 1.7. You just need to study your endgames, and you should win this with your eyes closed. Now, let's go back here, all the way back. In this position, let's say they don't take. What if they play d6? If they play d6, I want you to still go for knight f3. Once again, this is something I really want to push. If they play something other than taking the pawn, your next move is most likely going to be knight f3. You want the knight to be behind the pawn so that you could either at some point take or push. And if you castle, your rook is going to be on this file. Your rook is going to be here pressuring down the board right when it castles. So you don't have to waste a move with rook e1. You will already have the rook on the f file. So here in this position, they have a bunch of moves. They can play that. I want you to immediately. Well, Gotham Chess does recommend this move. He recommends pinning immediately. And if they attack, or if they go there, but if they attack, usually your best move is just taking the knight. But the best move is bishop d7. But now what you're going to do is you're going to play d3. You're going to castle, and you have an incredibly strong position. And one thing that they can do, so let's say they go here, and you castle. If they castle, you can play f5. f5 is such a strong move because you're blocking off the bishop. The bishop can never come back in this way, and you are setting up a small attack on the king. This pawn is very strong. What you're going to do is you're going to bring the queen over this way. Well, not right now because you don't want to lose this pawn, but you can bring the queen over. This bishop has possible sacrifices. If this pawn ever goes to h6, you can possibly sacrifice and then have your queen sitting on the square. The king cannot move at all. All you need to do is rook lift here, and you will win the game. That is, the thing is, if they take the gambit, they lose. If they don't take the gambit, they will still find a way to lose because you are such a strong Vienna player. This is some of the things that they can do. But what if they play the best line against the Vienna? What if they play d5? d5 is indeed the best line against the Vienna. It is if someone plays d5, they've done a little bit of studying. They know about the Vienna. So in this position, what you want to do is you want to take immediately. When you take, the knight is going to take here. It's the best move, so your opponent should play that. And then Gotham actually brought up this move. It's actually a queen f3. Gotham Chess, or Levy, he popularized this move. It is a very strong move because you're immediately adding pressure to everything. Usually the move is actually knight f3, but this move is pressure, adding immediate pressure. So some of the moves that they have in this position is taking. They usually take, and when they take, I want you to take with this pawn. Because what you want to do after this is you want to play d4, bishop d3, knight e2, and then knight f4, and I want you to castle. And when you castle, hold on, let me just show you these moves. Here, here, here. You castle. Now, look at this position. This is such a strong position. Your bishops are complete cannons down the board. Your knight will at some point transfer to this square. Your queen is going to come here. You are going to maybe lift your rook and add the other rook. All of your pieces are all going to attack the king. Look at this position for the Vienna. It is such a strong position. Even if they play the best line against the Vienna, you will still win the game. You will still win the game. And one thing that they can try to do, let's say they try to go like this to, I don't know, try to attack your bishop. Immediately, you go here. You go here, you attack his bishop. If he takes, you can take back. Look at this. Your queen is knocking on the doorstep. Your bishop is about to come in. Your knight is about to come in. Your rook is about to come in. And then your other rook. You have all of your pieces attacking. And look at this. Look at this. Pieces are sleeping. The pieces are sleeping. He's basically down a rook and a knight in this position because he won't have enough time to get all his pieces out. And you're just going to be rigorously attacking him for the next, 20 moves? Not even 20 moves, because the game won't last 20 moves. It's going to last 10 moves because you're going to win. Look, this is a beautiful position. This is why I love the Vienna so much. It does not matter if you play the best move. It does not matter if you play the worst move. You will still lose. As long as you know what you're doing in chess, you will win this game. Now, obviously, they don't have to play knight f6 on the first move. What if they play knight c6? This is called the copycat variation in the Vienna. In the copycat, I want you to play bishop c4. Bishop c4 is like setting up your f4. So you will play d3 and then f4, so that when they take, you take back immediately. But they have a couple other options that they can make in this position as well. What if they play bishop c5? This is called the copycat variation of the Vienna. And in the copycat variation, I want you to play queen g4. Now, in this position, there are a couple things that your opponent can do. One thing that they can do is they can play knight f6 and blunder the pawn. Another thing they can do is play pawn to d5, blundering the pawn and possibly the rook as well. Because what they do is they think that you won't see that your queen is hanging with the bishop, but obviously, you know, I would hope that Vienna players are smarter than that. When your queen is on g4, you need to be very, very careful with the d pawn push. But one thing that they play here a lot is actually queen f6. They play queen f6 a lot. They play queen f6, and if they do not know what they're doing, they will lose the game, because you can immediately jump into d5. Knight jumps into d5. Now, one thing that they do is if they go here, what you're going to do is you're just going to take, they're going to take, and you're going to go here. You're going to fork, you're going to win the rook, and hopefully maybe you can try to get your knight out in the future. But if not, it's okay, because you are up the exchange. It doesn't matter. But another thing they can do is they can blunder with a queen f2. It's only a blunder if they don't know what they're doing, and most of the time they do not know what they're doing. This is your only square. This move is forced. Now, I want you to look at this position for the Vienna. You have 1, 2 visible threats on the board right now. The only way to stop the 2 visible threats at the exact same time is king f8. This is the top engine move on the board. But those were the only 2 visible threats. What about the invisible threats? Knight to h3. And if you can look on the board, the queen's squares are incredibly limited. They are very, very limited. Queen cannot go anywhere here, cannot go here, cannot go here, can't go here. The queen has to go here. And I want you to immediately lock the queen in a cage with d3. You immediately lock the queen away. The queen is locked away. The queen cannot do anything about being locked away. Now, in this position, as the queen is locked away, you are actually threatening c3. You're threatening to play c3, trapping the queen, and winning the queen. So, one thing your opponent will try to do is they will try to go like this. They will say, okay, I want to attack your queen. But you can play queen f3. Queen f3, you are now currently looking at this pawn. So you're actually threatening a couple things. You're threatening to take this pawn, attacking the rook, and checkmate. You're threatening that. And let's say they take your knight. If they take your knight, you can actually just completely ignore that and play rook f1. Because right now, you're threatening checkmate. You're threatening to play checkmate. So, in this position, one thing that they could do to try to stop checkmate is they can play knight f6. But them playing knight f6 is just a blunder, because one, not only is the bishop hanging, but the queen is also hanging. There are so many things hanging in this position. It is so bad. It is so bad for your opponent. You will win this game 10 times out of 10. As long as the queen is stuck on this square in this position, you will win this game. And then if you look here, you can see there are so many things. I also do want you to be very careful, because I did just notice that you can get your queen pinned. So as you're getting your opponent's queen trapped, you're going to get your own queen trapped, because there is a pin. So I would be very careful. If anything, maybe just, snap that up real quick. They can make any move here. Let's say they take. If they take, you have mate. So they can't take, they can't move that knight. If they try to play something, they play here, then you can just play c3. Usually they don't know how to stop it. Their best move is to take the bishop. You just take the queen. You are completely winning. This is a plus 6.3 for the Vienna in this opening. It is incredibly strong. But obviously, this is not the only thing that they can play. If we go back in time a little bit, let's say here, and let's say they don't play bishop c5. Let's say this move doesn't happen. Let's say they play knight f6. If they play knight f6, the exact same thing I talked about before, you want to play d3 and then f4. d3, f4. So d3, they make a move, f4. If they take, you take, but if they don't, you play knight f3. I told you, knight f3 is a very, very strong opening when it comes to the Vienna. Now, let's say they do something like knight g4. This is a bad move. This is a bad move because you can jump your knight in as well. So now, let's say they do something like castling, right? Because they don't want to lose their pawn. You immediately play f5. f5 cuts off the circulation of this knight for the bishop. So now you're actually threatening to take this knight. When you're threatening to take this knight, what can they do? They fork you. Oh, they say, okay, I'm going to win the rook because my opponent won't want to lose their queen. So they're correct. You don't want to lose your queen, so you move the queen. But you know where you move it? Here. You move the queen here, and you are completely winning. This is a completely winning position in the Vienna because, one, not only are you threatening mate, which they have to stop right now or they lose the game, you are also threatening this square. And if you look, there are currently 3 attackers on this square and only 2 defenders for black. So, whatever move they make, let's say they take your rook. No, they don't take your rook because they get checkmated. This is actually the only move. H6 is the only move to stop getting checkmated. You take. You take. Usually the best move here is probably just to take with the rook. But if they don't, you have an incredibly strong discovery no matter where the knight goes. Let's say they try to move the queen somewhere, the game will be over. But then here in this position, you can take with the queen. Let's say the king goes here. If the king goes there, the game is completely over. You can immediately start. You can even ignore the threat on this rook because the top engine move in this position is actually f6. F6 is the top engine move in the position. If they take, you have bishop here. Look at this. Look at it. The king. This game is over. This game is over, and it's over because you studied the Vienna. You played the Vienna. You learned the Vienna. This is just a strong opening. I want everyone to learn how to play this opening. This is a very good opening. But there's also a couple things. Let's say they don't immediately jump in. Let's say they just castle. If they just castle, what I want you to do is, obviously you want to castle as well. You want to castle, but you don't, you can't. You can't castle because of the bishop. The bishop is in the way. So because the bishop is in the way of your castle, what I want you to do is I want you to play knight to a4, immediately targeting this bishop. As you can look at the board, there is no way to save the bishop. The bishop will be taken because they did play d6. So when they see this, they go bishop b6. You immediately take. They take, and you just castle. And if their next move is not this, you play f5. f5 immediately. You play f5. You completely cut off the bishop, and you're completely winning. And now, just to show you guys how strong the Vienna truly is, what I want to do is I want to show you 2 games. I'm going to show you 2 games of my Vienna games against my opponents. And yeah, I'm just going to show you the strength of the Vienna. So here, this is a rapid game I played. I'm 1773. My opponent is 1743. So in this position, e4, e5, knight c3. Obviously, we are in the Vienna. So he plays knight f6, and I play f4, a religious move. He actually plays the best move. He plays the best move in the Vienna. So obviously, I took this immediately. As you can see, I took it in 1 second. So I don't know, maybe threw him off or something. So he took best move. Gotham Chess has pushed for this move, that this is the best move. Knight takes, and b takes. You're taking into the center. That's why you take with that pawn. They made an inaccuracy here. So in this position, I played d4. This is just a common move in this position, is solidifying my pawn chain. I wanted to have all 3 pawns supporting. If the knight ever comes to c6, it cannot jump in at all because of this pawn. That's why I like this pawn here. So he goes here. I go here, you know, just patrolling, hoping he castles queenside. But even if he didn't, it would have been okay anyways. So in this position, he goes there. I already knew this was a bad move because obviously the pawn was not out. He put the knight in front of the pawn. This was a bad move for my opponent. So I went here. I wanted to jump my knight in here to attack the bishop. And also it's technically like kind of like one of the only good moves in the position, because if I went here, he might have chopped. And I didn't want to take with my queen because I want my queen here. I want to keep my queen here so that when I castle, I'm immediately looking at this pawn. So that's why I didn't want. And if I took with the pawn, obviously it's bad because, you know, doubled pawns. Doubled isolated pawns on the edge of the board, that's so bad. So I didn't want that. So now he went here. When he played this move, I wanted to jump here right now. But I didn't want any bishop attack coming in or moving. So, and also another thing in the Vienna is attacking. I wanted to keep the queens on the board. I do not want a queen trade. So if he did go here after I jump my knight in, I know this is a free pawn because my knight is here protecting my queen. But I didn't want, one, his bishop sitting pretty here, you know, causing problems. And then also I didn't want a queen trade. So that's why I first played h3. It says it's an inaccuracy, but I just think this was the best move in my opinion, just because I didn't want the bishop coming in after I played the knight here. And in my thought process, I said, if he castles, I'm going to take the bishop, because if he castles, the bishop is completely like trapped and my knight will end up taking that bishop. So he castled and I immediately went here with the knight. So now the knight is looking at the bishop. And I don't know what happened to my opponent, but my opponent immediately crumbled under the pressure and blundered. So technically he only blundered a bishop because I took it. But my opponent didn't see my other threat because he also lost his queen. And then he resigned the game. He completely resigned the game. And I won. I won in 13 moves against the 1700, who just crumbled under the Vienna. It's a very strong opening. It does not matter if they play the best move, they play the worst move, if they play a moderate move, you will still win as long as you understand the key concepts in the Vienna. But now I do want to show you another game. This was a game that I played blitz. So my main time control is rapid. That's why I'm so high rated in rapid. I'm actually, my highest rating is 1800. It's 1815 in rapid. And I'm trying to get better with the other time controls with the blitz and bullet. So every time I'm playing with Nathan, we play blitz and we play bullet. Or sometimes we play rapid, just so we can get better with timing. So this is another Vienna that I played in the blitz pool. So e4, e5, knight c3. Obviously, we know that this is the Vienna. Opponent plays a d6. This is called the Philidor defense. It's when this can also come from knight f3. You just play d6. It's just a Philidor, yeah. So against the Philidor, you do the same thing. You prepared f4 with a d3 and then f4, so that if they take, you immediately take back. So he went here, d3. It says Engensen's best move is a d4, but I like d3 supporting the bishop and then playing f4 because I don't really want to break into the center at all at this point. He goes here, f4, and it's actually the best move. So I know a lot of people usually play knight f3 in that position, but I play f4. He takes, I take back immediately. Like I said, this move prepared it, because if I did not make this move, he could have possibly played g5, protecting the pawn so I can't take it back, and then playing h6, and the pawn, I will never win the pawn back. So that's a problem. That's why I play d3 and then f4, so that I can take it back immediately. So he goes here. The second, okay, if you are ever playing chess and you see your opponent play h6, that is like a little tug. It's just a little tug that you can just immediately attack the second you get the chance, especially when your opponent castles that way. So I go here first. I go here first because obviously I want to castle. I want to castle. He castles. I castle. So now this is the position. Remember what I told you? When you get rid of the f-pawn, look at this rook. Look at how beautiful this will work. Bro, completely open file. I didn't need to waste a move going to rook e1. It doesn't even matter because the rook is going to be looking at nothing anyways. Being able to castle and start an attack at the same time is such a strong concept in the Vienna, and why the Vienna is so strong. So now in the Vienna, what you do is you just play chess. So my opponent played a move. I immediately got out of the pin. So in this position, if my opponent took, I would have just taken with the rook. This is a terrible move for my opponent if they take this knight, because not only will I get a rook lift, I'm going to swing the other rook in, and I'm going to move this rook here. I'm going to go here and then here and start dangerous attacks on the king. And one thing that my opponent forgot that I had here is they forgot that I could sacrifice my bishop. And that's exactly what I did. If you ever see your opponent play h6, I want you to sacrifice your bishop on h6. If your opponent plays pawn h6, sacrifice your bishop. But obviously only sacrifice it if your queen can immediately take back after. Chess.com called this a brilliant move because I saw it. I said, I really want to take this bishop. Or sorry, I really want to take this pawn with my bishop, and I'm going to do it. So I did it. He took. Terrible move. I take. The king is cooked, as the young ones say. The king is cooked. So he tries to survive, but my opponent forgot about the pin. My bishop here actually helps support this check, because if we look at where the pawn is, the pawn cannot take my queen because I will take the king. So he goes here, and then I take. So I'm not even down a piece anymore. The fact that the king is completely open and I'm not even down a piece, I'm up two pawns. I'm up 2 pawns in this position, all because I sacrificed my bishop. So he goes here. He tries to attack my queen. So I move the queen. Best move. I'm also hitting this pawn. He goes here. Not really defending the pawn because I can just take it anyways, because there's 2 people looking at it. So in this position, he played here, and I immediately snatch the knight, just get rid of the knight immediately, and then jump my knight in. Because my knight is here, it's here, it's not really doing anything, and I needed to go do something. So I wanted to jump in and I wanted to go do something. I wanted to cause some damage. So my opponent goes here. I jump in. As you can see, the knight is pinned, so the knight can't actually take. He puts the queen there. I go here, adding so much pressure on this knight. This knight is about to fall. He decides that he's just going to sacrifice his bishop, and then he takes, and then he just crumbles under the pressure. Yeah, completely lost everything. He resigned. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring the rook in. It's a check. The mate is inevitable at this point. If you play this, the engine is saying go g6, but you can even probably play rook f1. The game is over. The game is over. You could even play this. If he plays that, you can give the check first. Remember that, so you don't lose your rook. You can even take this. It doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. Completely winning position. The take is forced, and you're up a queen. All right, the queen versus the bishop. If you lose this, if you lose in this position, genuinely, I don't know what to tell you. Completely winning position. You should always win this game. And yeah, this is the Vienna. I want you all to study the Vienna, or if you don't want to play the Vienna and you play e5 against e4, you have to study what to play against the Vienna. The Vienna is such a strong, such a dangerous opening, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can lose. And the Vienna players, if you know what you're doing, you will win all your games. Me and Nathan religiously studied Vienna theory, and we got up to the 99th percentile of chess players, all because of the Vienna. Obviously, we have other weapons in our repertoire, but Our main repertoire is e4, e5, knight c3, the Vienna. Study, study, study the Vienna.